This year marks the 25th anniversary of DPReview, and for those of you who have been following along, you'll be the first to recognize that we've been through a lot. I've been making things personally and professionally for a long time. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about this idea of why we make and share images, and what does it mean when we do so in an online world where context is usually collapsed or lost altogether. This series is an attempt to explore those themes, and hopefully allow us to have deeper conversations about images that we make and share. In this first episode, we'll sit down with photographer Tim Aukshunas. Tim just completed his first speed project. It's an unsanctioned long-distance foot race that runs from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. Running is something that's deeply personal for Tim, as was this experience. These are the stories behind his photos.
Yeah, this first photo is from the start line, and for me, I felt that this is like an actual perfect photo for the start line because you and I had spoken first off, Mykim, it was, I had no expectations for this event and what I was going to get. All I know is that I just wanted to define kind of what it meant to me from my perspective. And, this photo feels chaotic. It feels all over the place. It's obviously like a really cool photo with different types of light sources and blurring and all that fun stuff. But to me, I really had no idea what was happening here. And I got here and I was like ready and I was like, great, what am I going to shoot? And I didn't really know still. And I watched everybody doing their own thing that, there's tons of cameras, there's tons of people taking photos and, video and stuff like that, like full on documenters and stuff. So it's a pretty big, you really kind of, like, to me, it just kind of hit me. I was like, whoa, okay, it's a big deal. And what's happening here and how unique this is. But it kind of like created a lot of chaos in my mind on how I was like, well, what do I do here? Because I also didn't want to just do what everybody else was doing. I kind of want to also do like, what do I want to do? And so this photo, I think, resembles like, it does resemble the start, but also represents just kind of the chaos that I had experienced for me personally. Like, it kind of shocked me when I got here that, I've seen photos of what the start looks like, but it, you don't really doesn't really like hit you until you get there. It's real. At 4 a.m. on Friday, where, there's a couple hundred people here in Santa Monica at the pier, that are going to run off here and start heading towards Las Vegas. So, I think it's a really cool shot. It's fun because I was playing with kind of an on-camera flash, and kind of, using some kind of funky light techniques to kind of get these blurring, techniques, whereas you're essentially like I had a 24-70 on zoom, and you just kind of like zoom the lens as you take the shot. It's a slightly slower shot with a really kind of hit blast of light that allows you to get these like kind of, really kind of swiped look or paintbrush strokes to the photo. But yeah, I thought it's really cool. And I think it resembles everything that was happening at the beginning of this event. So this next photo, this is kind of coming out of LA, like through Canyon Country area. And I thought this is rad because at this point, this is kind of where my brain turned on for the event, and what was happening. And, I was like enjoying just the run and the experience. But like for me and this group here, there's 4 guys in the foreground, 1 person finishing, and there's 3 at the Jeep. And we had kind of this like crazy experience in the beginning of the event where one of our RV passenger side window and rearview mirror had kind of got sideswiped by a tree and blew out, and it kind of like, it was just like this thing, like it was unexpected, wasn't planned, obviously. And so this RV that had, a handful of people had to pause and get help and wait for the window to be repaired. We had to tape it up and put a new rearview mirror on. So at that point, like our team captain was like, hey, I'm taking 4 people with me. We're going to jump on the Jeep and we're going to run. We're going to switch off every 2K between us all. And until the RV gets fixed and can meet us up. So we really had no idea when that would be. But we knew like, hey, well, yeah, let's be competitive and and let's go have fun with this part. And so, between myself and these four guys here, this is where our kind of bond was quickly, forged here, and where we all kind of looked at ourselves and were like, all right, well, let's pick up the slack here and, get our team in a good position until the RV's ready to meet us up. But I think this is also really cool too, just because like there's a sentimental like thing that was happening where we were having this experience, but then also like you're seeing where you're going, and it's pretty insane, when you really think about it, and just running, because I lived here in Southern California. It takes about 4 hours to get there and drive there, which just is also a long time in the car, and then you're also like, well, we just ran there, and this is where we went through, and it's a pretty unorthodox way to get there too. This photo here, this might be my favorite of all the images, and this is kind of like getting out of Lancaster, Palm Desert. This is like the high desert area, and it's dry, it's dusty, it was really windy, and you just kind of like feel it here. You feel this experience. This is before power line, yeah. This is day one. So this is kind of like you're in the high desert here, so the elevation's high enough to the point where it you feel it, lung capacity wise, where you're kind of struggling to run, but you're also like dealing with like this like a lot of dust. It was like I said, in the evening it was starting to get. We knew a storm was coming. So this is kind of the early remnants of the storm coming, because it did snow and it did rain out there the next day. And this is kind of like what kicks up out here is this like being very well known for very dusty and having these like kind of little, dust devils and things like that pop up. So this is like, the foreground, and obviously it's one of my teammates here filling up his water bottles, but you kind of just, I don't know. It's kind of like a really powerful image. I don't have a ton of words for it. It just felt, you feel this image here, I feel like. And then this is still day one, and this is still coming out of the high desert, but I just thought it was a really beautiful image. I think, where sunlight turns to sunset, and you're just on the road. This is where like you have the light behind you and you're running in the darkness, and this is what it's going to be for the next 10 hours, or however long it is, and you're putting a headlamp on and a jacket and some gloves, and you're getting out there and you run. It doesn't stop, like you don't wait until sun starts to come up. You run through the evening, and this is my opinion is where the event is made. Like the captain, they're all from the UK, as I mentioned. He was actually out here this last week, and we grabbed a coffee yesterday. And we were talking about running this next year too, and kind of like what we would do, differently, or how we would adjust. And, we talked about the evening being kind of like, that's where this event really gets made, and how you kind of really separate yourselves from the others here is by, not taking it easy during the evening or the nighttime, because it's harder to see and harder to navigate and get around, and everybody's tired naturally at night, where you want to just rest and do nothing. This is where I think you got to kind of turn your switch on really, and really treat it like daylight. And so I think going into the evening is kind of like where it's like the freaks come out at night type of thing. It's kind of a this is kind of like the sun coming down on that, and you're kind of getting into the weird part of the event. This image, it means a lot to me in terms of like, this is where I feel everything is from this race. This is where it kind of like really, I think, began to test myself, and I think my team was tested here, because it was cold. It was probably, I don't know, it must have been like 40 something degrees. So it's chilly, but you're it's raining and it's windy as hell. And you're really in the elements here. Like I don't even think like the dirt you see really does it justice here. It's like this kind of mixture of sand and compact dirt and like kind of technical rocks. It changes every like 100 meters. It's a really tricky place to run, and really testy, because once you start to get into a rhythm, then you hit this other patch of sand, and you kind of slow down, and you're looking for these like kind of like even spaces to run that are kind of easy for you to run on. And there's no rhythm out here. It's so tricky. But you also see just like kind of at the middle point of the photo, or just how far there really is no end to this thing. It feels like I felt like running out here took an entire day, but it really only was like, maybe 4 hours, I think. And it was 5 of us just kind of rotating a K. Every single kilometer we were switching in and out. And we actually just got through at the nick of time, because I think this road ended up getting shut down a few hours later because the snow kind of came through and made it almost impassable. So a lot of teams like couldn't even make it, and they had to adjust routes, or they just had to kind of DNS, just kind of did not finish because they couldn't make that adjustment. But this is a photo I can taste, I can smell, I can hear. It's
brings you right back there.
Yeah, it's something I won't forget, because not only was it like an extreme like test of my like my ability. This is where I thought this was gonna be easy. This part I was like, oh, this will be easy. It was like, this is probably like one of the hardest tests I've had, like physically running, in a long time. Because you want to keep it together from your team and yourself, and like commit to doing it. But you're also just trying to, like, you've got maybe 15 minutes between between when you run and when you got to go up again. So you're using that 15 minutes to like have a good time, but you're like not really. You're wondering when it's over or when it's going to be done, and you're just trying to get yourself ready to the next one. Like I could not think 5 legs ahead of me. I was just like, cool, how many do we got to do out here? Like, everybody's got to do 12 to 13 like Ks out here. And like, I'm just counting them down, like just one after another, like stretching, using the Theragun, drinking what I can, eating what I can, just getting ready. And then I'm also trying to take photos too. Like, and so I'm doing that as well too along the way. But this is like I said, you could taste, you could smell, you could hear, like this. There's this stretch of power lines that runs from basically just outside Baker and goes right into Prim, and it tastes metallic, it smells metallic, and you could hear just this buzz. It's a very, like, you hear this out here when you think you should be hearing nothing out here. You hear these things just transmitting electrical signals to these power lines that go into Vegas, and it's interesting. It's unique. And so, yeah, this is a good one. I think, like, the way it was kind of like, obviously compositionally it's cool because you kind of get this depth of like this never ending trail of, you don't know where the hell you're going, when it's going to stop. But, I think it's rough. It's grainy. It's gray. It's, you get this windshield wiper kind of coming across at a kind of a cool angle. I shot this from inside the car too, just on a telephoto. I was like, oh, this worked out really nice. So this next photo, I think, is just kind of cool. Just as we're kind of coming in from Prim to Vegas, it's all roads, it's all downhill, it's flat. We had heard that a team that we kind of gone back and forth with on Powerline Trail we're fairly close. So everybody was just kind of mustering up exactly, they were mustering whatever we could up just to get from each K to K. So I think as a team, it was kind of cool to run this as a group. All of us, instead of running, 5 people at a time, we all just kind of jumped in together and we all switched Ks until we got into Vegas. So it was a nice kind of like way to kind of bring it home and to wrap it up. This is also a cool photo. I just feel like it's really real. It's authentic. It's there's nothing forged about this one. And it's literally the guy, Brian, that was in the previous photo here, exactly how he felt as soon as he finished that last K. Cause like I said, we were chasing down another team just right ahead of us. And so I think it was us, like the difference between us getting 11th and 10th, was that team. So, we're hoping for a top 10. Obviously we got 11th, but I thought this is a really just an incredible photo of kind of exactly how hard, somebody put, their body on the line and sacrifice themselves to kind of keep our team, moving forward and going as fast as we can. And then last photo is our finished photos, and especially I think if you kind of browse through the photos from photo number one to this photo, you kind of see this very like, authentic growth between all teammates, and it was kind of cool because like I only really hung out with this group of guys for, maybe, 72 hours or whatever it was. And literally by, after 35 hours, it was like family. It was pretty cool, and this is a group that I think I'll, always keep in contact with, and, always have really incredible stories. I got together with Tom, who's, pictured in the middle here, with the blue hat, who's kind of really throwing up the champagne there. And we went on a run. It was just like sharing war stories. It was pretty cool. And so this is like, I think, a really special photo for me, and seeing just kind of the excitement, the, sense of accomplishment, and, and just kind of everybody just being behind each other. And there was no bickering, there was no complaining, there was no fighting along the way. It was all just, teamwork, cooperation, and respect for everybody. And so, it's a really beautiful shot.